Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Did a video the other day where I talked about the huge ruling from the Supreme Court on the internet. And the thumbnail description said it was a huge ruling from the Supreme Court on the internet. And I had somebody go, "Oh, that's clickbait," despite the fact it was completely accurate. And clickbait is not just a title that gets your attention. Clickbait is where somebody takes a title and goes so far beyond what actually happened in an attempt to get you to click. And once you read it, you go, well, I guess I see how they got that title from this story, but it was a bit of a stretch, right? So I'm going to show you a title that is in fact clickbait, but the story is a good story. It's just that the description that I'm going to use for my version of the story will be very, very different than the one they used. But this is from the U.S. Sun, and Olivia Burke wrote this. Peter sent it to me. And the headline is, "I bought $63 of lottery tickets, but sued for $4.3 million when I didn't win. A judge agreed even though I didn't match a number." So the implication here is you can buy losing lottery tickets, file lawsuits, and judges will give you money, $4.3 million. And when you say "I bought," it implies that you're quoting somebody. And I don't think that's a quote of the guy in the story. So there is a bit of an issue here. But now you might be saying, Steve, what's the real story? And the real story is an interesting one. A man filed a class action lawsuit over the largest lottery scam in U.S. history. And that class action is settled for $4.3 million. There was a story, I saw it on American Greed, I've seen it in other places, but where a guy who was working for the lottery figured out a way that he could set it up to where he could know what the winning numbers were in advance. And the numbers were not random. And he actually won a few of these, but he couldn't do it since he worked for the lottery. So he set it up so friends or family would win. And somehow they figured this out. They caught him, and he got in trouble for that. So a lot of people wondered, wait a second, if I bought tickets for a lottery that was fixed, was that fair to me? And so this guy is somebody who bought tickets for several of those fixed lotteries and said, okay, I was buying tickets thinking I had a chance to win. And since I didn't have a chance to win, that was deceptive. I should get something for that. So the judge here isn't awarding him money as if he won. They're awarding compensation for the fact that people got ripped off by buying tickets in a lottery that they could not win. The man is 53 years old. He's among at least 3 people who launched legal proceedings against the Multi-State Lottery Association after discovering that the game he had entered was rigged, and that was several games. He spent $63 on tickets for 2 separate games back in 2010, did not match a single number, but a judge agreed he had been conned. Now, the writer here said, but a judge still agreed he'd been conned, as if the writer doesn't understand what happened here. The man's an insurance salesman from Vermont. He believed he was cheated out of a fair chance of winning the jackpot after the system was tampered with by an employee. He said in a statement at the time he filed the lawsuit, "While I know the odds aren't great, I never expected the games were fixed and my chance was 0. So imagine this. If they said, by the way, here's a lottery, the grand prize is $12 million, but you have no chance of winning, buy tickets. No one would buy tickets. And I understand you can win other smaller prizes, but people don't enter these to win the smaller prizes. Polk County District Court judge allowed him to seek damages on behalf of hundreds of thousands of players, and lawyers argued that the multi-state lottery system failed to prevent games from being rigged and failed to operate them in accordance with their own rules. And here's the thing. Again, it wouldn't matter if they did take steps or didn't take steps. The fact that it happened in most states would mean that you're entitled to your money back because you're buying something you didn't get what you paid for, and that was an honest chance at winning the lottery. So the Iowa-based organization that runs the lottery is actually a nonprofit, continued to deny any wrongdoing, but agreed to settle the case for $4.3 million. So we did nothing wrong, but we'll settle the case for $4.3 million. Meanwhile, the publication claimed that this man's attorney revealed the gambling giant had chosen to pay up to avoid mounting litigation expenses and the risk of going to trial. The settlement will reportedly refund the cost of tickets purchased for 9 specific drawing dates for games that were sold in 33 states, the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, and Washington, D.C. Players who bought tickets between November 23, 2005 and May 23, 2013 will be able to request reimbursement for their tickets. Proof of purchase is not required, although administrators have the right to request verification to prevent fraud. And that's the problem, because who in their right minds held on to losing tickets from that long ago? Refunds will vary based on the value of the ticket, proof of purchase provided, and the number of valid claims submitted. The lottery organization reportedly agreed to allow this man to receive 30% of the settlement for his legal fees, as well as a $20,000 incentive award because he stepped up and filed the lawsuit. The rest of the cash was split between other players who unwittingly bought tickets for rigged games. It finalizes the decades-long saga of one of the biggest lottery scams in U.S. history, orchestrated by a former IT director there, who pulled off a $24 million scandal over 5 years by rigging the computers and sharing the spoils with family and friends. He planted a computer code into a random number generator, which allowed him to manipulate the odds, and of course, at that point, the numbers are no longer so random. It rigged lottery draws in Colorado, Wisconsin, Iowa, Kansas, and Oklahoma, and gave players like Dale an even worse chance of winning. Your chance of winning approaches 0, apparently. The ex-Lotto employee first saw success with his scam in 2005 when he landed a $4.8 million jackpot. He went on to achieve several other big wins to reach a total winning value of $24 million before law enforcement caught up with him. The hot Lotto scandal all began to unravel in 2010 when the man bought the winning ticket himself instead of having someone else do it for him. And that's a crazy one, because I believe under the rules of the lottery, he was not allowed to play it. And so I think he bought the ticket and then was going to hand it off to somebody else. And so he asked that friend to claim the prize, which is $16.5 million. It took 3 years for investigators to link him to the scandal. He pleaded guilty to ongoing criminal conduct in 2017. He was ordered to pay $2.2 million in winnings from lotteries in Colorado, Wisconsin, Kansas, and Oklahoma. He told the judge at his sentencing hearing in 2017 that he wrote software that included code that allowed him to understand or technically predict winning numbers. I gave those numbers to other individuals who then won the lottery and shared the winnings with me. He was released on parole recently after serving 5 years of a 25-year prison sentence. So again, getting back to this headline. The headline says, I bought $63 of lottery tickets but sued for $4.3 million when I didn't win. And a judge agreed even though I didn't match any numbers. And that, of course, is not exactly what happened here. So the guy bought tickets during the time that the lottery was rigged, and it was impossible for an average person to win. So he bought worthless tickets, and now that we know those tickets were worthless, he's asked for a refund, and he's filed a lawsuit, class action, and that class action has resulted in a payout. So it's a great story. Olivia Burke wrote it, the U.S. Sun published it, and Peter sent it to me. And so that's the difference, I think, between clickbait and just regular titles, okay? So a clickbait title is the one that implies that you can just file a lawsuit over losing tickets. And a better title is simply, class action payout on lottery scam after man goes to prison or something like that. Believe it or not, one of the hardest parts about putting up videos on YouTube is coming up with thumbnails that are both descriptive and fairly accurate without being clickbait, because you've only got so much space to put those words in there. And they're really, really small too. So there you go. Peter, thanks for sending it. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. A lot of parents pack up their troubles and send them off to summer camp.